Hello everyone, my name is Joseph and welcome back to the Popsicle Night channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please take a second to click the like button if you like this video or hit the thumbs down if you don't. Also, if you enjoy the contents of this channel, please subscribe if you haven't already. This video is sponsored by PTCGO the best place for you to get PTCGO code cards. Are you looking to complete your Pokemon card collection online for the latest set? PTCGO has everything you need. Please use my code NIGHT22 at checkout so you can get a 5% discount. Help yourself out with the discount, and thank you for helping support the content I create in this channel and for helping out PTCGO. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at COPPERAJAH from the Fusion Strike set. While this card is not so popular, we will give it a chance to shine. COPPERAJAH is a Stage 1 single strike Pokemon with 190 HP, 4 retreat cost, minus 30 resistance to grass, and is weak to fire. It has 2 attacks. The first one is Strength. For 1 metal and 2 colorless energy, it will deal 90 damage. And its second attack is High Horsepower. For 1 metal and 3 colorless energy, it will deal 160 damage. And it also does 30 damage to itself. Its attack damage output is actually pretty decent, which can potentially 2-hit KO most VMAXs in the game, and we can easily heal the 30 recoil damage with the help of the Crystal Cave Stadium. However, what makes COPPERAJAH hard to use is its expensive attack cost, but because it only requires 1 specific metal energy as a requirement and the rest are colorless, it makes it more workable. So to power up our COPPERAJAH, I will be using the typical supports and cards for single strike builds. First, we will use Houndoom with the Single Strike Roar ability, allowing you to search your deck for a Single Strike energy and attach it to one of your Single Strike Pokemon. However, you have to put 2 damage counters on the Pokemon you attach the energy to. And of course, the Single Strike energy will help our COPPERAJAH to deal an additional 20 damage for each of these attached. For consistency, Snorlax will be my main drawing engine, and I added 1 copy of Morpeko with the explosive Discontent attack. For 1 dark energy, it deals 30 damage times each damage counter on this Pokemon. And to combo with this is 1 copy of Big Charm adding 30 HP, and this will be our main deterrent to Mew VMAX builds. And because COPPERAJAH is already using metal energies and we're putting a lot of single strike energies on it, it's just practical to add the single strike scroll of the Fanged Dragon on this build, which allows your single strike Pokemon to use the super strong slash attack. For 1 fighting 2 metal and 2 colorless energies, you will deal 300 damage, after which you discard all energy from this Pokemon. With the added damage given by the single strike energy, this attack can 1-hit KO any Pokemon in the game. As for the rest of the cards worth noting, I have a full set of Urn of Vitality to recover up to 2 single strike energy from the discard pile back to the deck. Welcoming Lantern is also good, which allows you to put 1 single strike supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. Tower of Darkness Stadium will help us draw 2 extra cards every turn, given that you have a single strike card you can discard first. Next is Bruno, allowing you to shuffle your hand to the deck and draw 4 cards. But if one of your Pokemon was knocked out on your opponent's last turn, you can draw 7 cards instead. And finally, Sonia, which can help us get 2 basic Pokemon from the deck or get 2 basic energies from the deck. The dual option of this card is really good. And that's pretty much it. The other cards are pretty much self-explanatory, and you can find the complete deck list in the description below. Do let me know what you think of COPPERAJAH down in the comments. But enough talk, let's see some gameplay. Alright, on to our first match. I will go first. And it's always nice to start with the Snorlax. Can Gourmandize, draw into more cards, and we have Q-Font to go into the bench. We also have Single Strike Energy in that we can start energizing our COPPERAJAH line. Let me actually discard the COPPERAJAH card in exchange for Houndour, so we can set up our Houndoom line, and then Gourmandize for 4 cards. Yeah, it's probably going to be 1 more turn before we can start attacking with COPPERAJAH. But yeah, building up its energy is quite a challenge for sure. So having a lot of Houndooms in your bench is the ideal. It's more ideal, so that you can easily energize your COPPERAJAH up to 3 energies, single strike energies from your deck. So you have to spare your Urn of Vitality as much as possible, because you will have to recover those energies back from the discard pile. And Bruno is actually really good to pair with Snorlax, because Bruno, when you shuffle your hand to your deck, you draw into 4 cards, and that allows you to draw into more cards with the Gourmandize ability. So we're going to do that in our next turn. My opponent doesn't do much on their turn, so I don't really mind that, which allows us to set up a little bit more. With this evolution incense, I'll just evolve into COPPERAJAH, which actually increases survivability because it has such a big amount of HP. For the meantime, I'll just use Single Strike Roar to add another energy to my COPPERAJAH. Use Bruno, draw to 4 cards, and we get 2 level balls, and now I can actually set up 2 more Houndours on my bench. And then we're just going to use the Crystal Cave to heal my COPPERAJAH and then Gourmandize. Yeah, Crystal Cave is actually, I think, the most practical way to heal the 30 damage that COPPERAJAH gets when it attacks with the high horsepower attack, so that your HP won't get reduced as much, because sometimes when you have such a low HP and then you attack, COPPERAJAH ends up just getting knocked out itself. So the Crystal Cave definitely helps with this build. So with the Gourmandize ability, we actually got more metal energies on hand, which is really great. And there's the main attacker from our opponent's side. It is Rapid Strike Urshifu V. So far, most likely a VMAX build. They also have Telescopic Sight, which won't affect us as much because we're not using any V or GX Pokemon. So that's not going to add anything to their Urshifu. And then they're going to discard our Crystal Cave Stadium to replace it with their Tower of Waters. And that Marnie actually helped us to get a Houndoom and the Scroll of the Fanged Dragon. I don't see that being played as much, but I think it's a great card. And I'm actually thinking of revisiting my Duraludon VMAX build, which is getting very popular nowadays. So now we have 3 Houndooms in play. Just gonna Gourmandize this turn once again, and we just need to build up our COPPERAJAH here, because that Marnie took away all of our metal energies. So now we have to start from scratch and build up its energy. Hopefully we can start attacking on our next turn, but we have to get our Snorlax out of the active as well. And Boss Orders is pretty good. Maybe we can one-hit KO their Rapid Strike Urshifu V as well. So let's see what my opponent does here. They put an energy on Urshifu V. I wonder if they'll evolve it, and then maybe they will... Oh no, they don't. Okay. Because I was thinking they could use the... if they have the VMAX, they can hit me for 150 damage. But they're just going to use Strafe, dealing 60 damage to our Snorlax. But that's okay, because now Snorlax is still alive, and we can keep using its Gourmandize. And that's going to be their turn. Although we won't be able to draw into more cards because we have so many cards on hand. So let's just use the Tower of Darkness to draw into more cards then. And hopefully we can get rid of a lot of these. I can set up another COPPERAJAH line. Let's see, we have 4 energies in deck. Alright, we just need the metal energy also to start attacking with COPPERAJAH, so we need that. Let me put this Fang Dragon scroll on my COPPERAJAH already. Use Bruno. And we got a metal energy, so that's good. But now we can't get Snorlax out of the active, so I'll just Gourmandize one more time. Hopefully we can get out of here. And COPPERAJAH should still be okay, because now we draw into another metal energies. We have the Fang Dragon. Hopefully they don't have a Tool Scrapper, because if they manage to evolve into a VMAX, we can actually one-hit KO using the Fang Dragon scroll, because all we have to do is although you know what, we don't have any single strike energy left in the deck, so We might not be able to use it. I mean, if we find another metal energy, maybe we can. But for now, we won't be able to one-hit KO the Urshifu. Although, even if they use VMAX Rapid Flow, they're not going to be able to knock out our COPPERAJAH because it has a lot of HP. So this matchup is actually pretty decent because COPPERAJAH can tank a lot of hits because of his high HP. And I think that's one of the great factors about the design of COPPERAJAH is that it can tank a hit or two even against V or VMAX matchups. So they're going to grab another Rapid Strike Urshifu V. So it's just a matter of them getting an energy. No, they're just going to Gale Thrust for another 60 against Snorlax, and Snorlax still lives, man. So let's just keep at it. I'll add another Metal Energy on COPPERAJAH. Get rid of that. Draw into more cards. Let's see. I can use Gormandize again, though. But you know what? Let's see what we got. I definitely need one more energy from the deck. So, I'm not going to grab anything with that. And I could start attacking with COPPERAJAH, but you know what? Let me just scoop up Snorlax because that will remove the liability. Maybe they won't be able to knock that out. I'm just going to use high horsepower this turn. And I'll be dealing 200 damage against this Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, 30 recoil damage on COPPERAJAH. And I think we should still be fine though, because even if they use Gale Thrust, they'll deal 150 damage to COPPERAJAH that will leave us with 10 HP. Or if they use VMAX Rapid Flow, we will still have 40 HP on COPPERAJAH. So yeah, COPPERAJAH is pretty bulky, man. Especially against Rapid Strike Urshifu. We are actually surviving a lot of attacks from this matchup, so not too bad. COPPERAJAH is pretty bulky. Once we get that energy, man, we can just one-hit KO. Actually, we don't even need to use the one-hit KO. They're gonna VMAX Rapid Flow. Let's see which one they target. Alright, they're gonna target my active and one of my Houndoom. And they have 130 HP left. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I can actually just use Strength to knock out this Urshifu. So that means I don't have to take a recoil damage from this attack. That gets me 3 cards. And I get a Snorlax, a Houndour, and another Single Strike Energy. That energy could just be the one to power up our scroll here and be able to one-hit KO a VMAX if we need to. Although, with the HP that COPPERAJAH has, it has 40 HP left. They're probably just going to knock it out. But that's okay. We have Urn of Vitality. We could just easily grab those Single Strike Energies from the discard pile. And then reattach them with the help of our Houndoom. So having a lot of Houndoom actually helps with this build, and having been able to set up 3 is actually really great. So we can easily replace our COPPERAJAH in the active if they do manage to knock it out. We're going to use Evolution Incense to get a Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. Alright. But they're going to evolve. They're not going to pivot back unless they have like a Melanie to energize the Urshifu and then grab a Rapid Strike Energy. And that should allow them to use the VMAX Rapid Flow, and they can knock out my COPPERAJAH and also my Houndoom. And that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for me to build up my other COPPERAJAH then, because I'll only be able to accelerate 2 Single Strike Energies. So I think that's the only way they can actually get back into the game here. So let's see what my opponent does. We're gonna go from there. No, they're just gonna hit me for 30. Guess what, guys? We get to use Super Strong Slash knocking out this Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX for one hit. Good game, man. Good game. Alright, moving on to our next match. My opponent allows me to go first, which is really nice. I do prefer going first with this build. And we're going to start off the game with a Q-Font in the active. I do have Level Ball. I'm probably going to get a Snorlax with that. And we get another Q-Font. And I actually don't mind benching this one as well. And I'll just get a Houndoom with the Level Ball. And I think I'm going to discard the Lantern. I think that's the best option we got. Get my Snorlax, and good thing we have a switch because Q-Font has a huge retreat cost as well. I'm just gonna Gorman Dice here for 6. We do get a Houndoom to evolve into in our next turn and a Metal Energy, so we can have at least 2 energies to our COPPERAJAH line, at least to one of them. And then our opponent is using a Grass type build, which actually we have a small advantage over because COPPERAJAH does have minus 30 resistance to grass attacks. Although they're using Zarude, so we can expect a lot of healing on their part. And they're also using Flapple V and a Grookey, so we can expect a Rillaboom, probably the one that energizes their Pokemon. Although Flapple V is a little bit dangerous because it can add the attack cost, which it might be a little bit hard for us to attack if they do that. So we get a COPPERAJAH, we'll evolve into that. We also have Morpeko, which could help with chip damage. And I'll just continue to energize my COPPERAJAH while I can do that. And I'm going to just use my boss, get Grookey to the active, and I'm just going to Gorman Dice. If they don't have a switch, they will have to use an energy to get it out of the active, and that could just give us another turn to stall, because that means they won't be able to energize their Zarude V to attack. But okay, they do have a Bird Keeper, so that will switch, and then they also draw 3 cards. They have Evolution Incense. There's a Rillaboom. They can probably, if they have a rare candy, they're probably gonna evolve into that. Alright, which they do. So they do have a rare candy. They're going to evolve into Rillaboom. So they're going to start energizing their other Pokemon. And Flapple has 190. We should be able to knock it out actually with COPPERAJAH. We just need to build up its energy. And Zarude V should not be able to knock out our Snorlax because the most it can do is 100 damage. And they actually do 50 with the bind down. Snorlax won't be able to retreat, but we have a switch, so we don't really care. We're just going to continue to set up our Houndoom, use our Stadium. We get a Houndoom, but we can't evolve just yet. And I'd like to use my Gorman Dice, so let's see if we can thin out my hand here. Let me just energize my COPPERAJAH before I forget. Okay, I'll have to use up the Ordinary Rod here. Get my Houndoom back to the deck. That will thin out my hand. At least I can draw into 1 card with Gorman Dice. And that gets us Bruno, which is actually really good. So for our next turn, I can evolve into another Houndoom. And I can probably switch my COPPERAJAH and start attacking. I can knock out the Zarude V if I really wanted to. I just need to accelerate 1 more single strike energy. And that should deal more than enough damage to knock out a Zarude V. But they are going to evolve into a Flapple VMAX, which makes it a little bit dangerous, and they could probably just knock out my COPPERAJAH. So I think I'll just pivot my Morpeko in the active and attack with that and maybe do some chip damage on the Zarude V. I can use my Houndoom to accelerate energy on Morpeko, but let me actually use my Stadium for now. Let me discard this one, and we get a COPPERAJAH, so that's good. And we have a couple of switches. I can actually knock out the Zarude V with COPPERAJAH. But Flapple VMAX will be able to knock it out if we do that. So I think I'll just use Bruno for the meantime. We can draw 7 cards here because they did knock out one of our Pokemon last turn. And we get more Metal Energies, which we can actually use to power up our COPPERAJAH. And another Metal Energy which can potentially, we can attach that to our COPPERAJAH with the scroll. And if and when they knock out our Morpeko, we can actually use the urn and recover that. So I'm just gonna attack here with Morpeko, and that deals 80 damage to their Zarude V, which puts it within knockout range, even with a normal COPPERAJAH. So we just need to put 3 energies on that. So if they do knock out our Morpeko, we can recover that energy. And we have a boss actually. So this is actually a really good hand that we have here. If they don't boss our COPPERAJAH with the scroll of Fanged Dragon, we actually might be able to knock out that Flapple VMAX with a single hit, with a super strong slash, and they will knock out our Morpeko, and that is all right with us. Now we can accelerate 2 energies to our COPPERAJAH here. So let's pivot that to the active, and we get another scroll. So I'll just attach that to the other COPPERAJAH. Get our single strike energy from the discard pile. Let's accelerate that to our active. Attach this metal energy. Let's draw more cards. All right. Let's see what we have left in the deck. We have 1 metal energy left. Let's boss this Flapple VMAX. Super strong slash for a 1-hit KO on this VMAX, getting us 3 prizes. So as you can see here, guys, COPPERAJAH is actually not half bad. You know, it looks boring at first. It just has 2 attacks and everything, but actually it has a really decent HP for a stage 1 prizer. So I'm starting to appreciate this, and I'm glad I'm able to showcase this. And the fact that it's a single strike Pokemon actually allowed it to synergize with a lot of different cards, especially with the Houndoom. You can just accelerate energy onto it, and then you can use the single strike energy to increase attack. And then you also have the single strike Scroll of Dragon Fang, or Fang Dragon, which is a mouthful. But yeah, it's a really strong card, and it really goes well with this COPPERAJAH, especially we're using metal energies to attack already. And being able to just accelerate those single strike energies with the help of Houndoom, making it a lot easier for you to use the single strike Scroll of Fanged Dragon, which again can just 1-hit KO any Pokemon in the game. So not too bad. COPPERAJAH definitely has a way to synergize with a lot of these cards, and I think that's what makes COPPERAJAH really good. They're gonna attack with Zarude V, but it doesn't deal a lot of damage because of our resistance. We don't have enough energies to accelerate, so I will use Urn of Vitality to get the single strike energies back to the deck. And then let me just get a Houndoom. I can use Tower of Darkness. Oh, that actually draws us into a single strike energy. But that should be okay. I'll just accelerate it to my COPPERAJAH. But before I do that, let me actually just thin out my hand here. Let me get a Houndoom with a Quick Ball. Start setting that up. Use my Ordinary Rod. Get a Houndoom and maybe this Morpeko. And then we get 2 metal energies back to the deck. Accelerate this energy. I'm going to accelerate this before I draw 2 more cards. Replace my Stadium with the Crystal Cave heal. And then I'm going to switch my Snorlax in the active so I can draw into 6 more cards. And there you have it. That's going to give us access to another energy. And then also Urn of Vitality so that we can recycle the 1 single strike energy on our discard file. And then we can actually accelerate our COPPERAJAH enough so that we can use the Scroll of Fanged Dragon 1 more time. But with the single strike energy that's going to be available for us on our next turn, we can actually 1-hit KO this Zarude V with COPPERAJAH's high horsepower attack. So they're going to fully heal their Zarude V on their bench. But that's okay. I'm just going to continue to accelerate my COPPERAJAH with Metal Energy. And I forgot we have to use Urn of Vitality first. Good thing we have another Houndoom, so we'll accelerate that onto our COPPERAJAH. Then all we have to do is heal, scoop up our Snorlax out of the active, switch our Copperaja in the active, and then we're just gonna knock out this Zarude V with high horsepower, dealing 220 damage with all of that single strike energy to increase our attack. We don't get, I guess that's the last single strike energy on our prize, but that's alright, we don't even need that. We are able to use the single strike scroll of Fanged Dragon to knock out any Pokemon on our next turn. And okay, there's the scoop. Wow, good game, man, good game. Copperaja is big. It has a decent amount of HP for a single price stage 1 Pokemon, and it actually has a decent attack power, but it is a bit expensive to pay, but it is workable. I actually think this straightforward approach to Copperaja is pretty decent, easily paying its energy cost with Houndoom and in effect adding more damage to its attack. And I really like the idea of adding the scroll of the Fanged Dragon, which makes Copperaja more dangerous. Overall, if you're a big fan of Copperaja, I think this is the easiest build to go for, and I think this build turned out pretty well. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching the Popsicle Night channel, and as always, stay safe and have a great day.